This is not Asia. This is Richmond, located on the coast of beautiful British Columbia. Richmond wasn't always so Asian-centric. The history of Richmond is a world away from what it is now.
In 80 to 82, it was pretty sleepy bedroom community with lots of farms.
Lots of blueberry bushes, very spread out.
A lot of ditches and very small roads. The population base was mostly rural. Few homes, subdivisions scattered around, but it was almost all white except for Steveston.
In the past, many ethnicities faced challenges living in a predominantly white community.
Did I feel discrimination when I was young? You bet I did. Fist fights, fights, and in those days discrimination was a lot different than it is now. Hindu, Paki, blueberry farmer, which I never was. Like I say, it would come down, there's, real times when it's really spontaneous, and when somebody says something like that, it really hits you like a brick on the head, and you're just like,
Truck roared in, big truck, and I guess he was going into the bakery, and he just didn't like the idea that we were parked somewhere where we shouldn't be. And then he got out and he was yelling at me, yelling at Tom. I guess he figures a couple of Asian guys, just some really nasty comments about, you should go back home, you stupid, nothing, this, that, blah, blah. He had to make this point that you guys, without knowing any of the history, are a bunch of idiots. You're foreigners, I don't want you here, and I'm angry, and blah, 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 and all this venom came out. He just jumped to the conclusion that we're just a bunch of, immigrants that don't have any gratitude for being here, and we're just here to take advantage of him and his, whatever he regarded as his privileged place in this country, I guess. I don't know.
I'm thinking of a girlfriend I have. She's Hong Kongese, but she came over when she was 8, and she's really, like you said, whitewashed. She told me she purposely, because the stigma of being Chinese when she came over in the early 80s was still, she desperately wanted to be white.
Despite the difficulties, Asian immigrants found Richmond to be very alluring.
Since 1994 to 2000, lots of people from Taiwan, they also moved to Richmond. And the people from China, since 1998 and 1999, people from mainland China, lots of immigrant. They are the business people, so they found out Richmond maybe is a good location for them to start business and also to invest in real estate. The house is very cheap. It's big land, the luxury house, and also convenient. So that's why more and more people come here. The new immigrant, they found out that Richmond may be the best place for them for the first few years. Even they cannot speak English, they cannot understand English, so they just can stay there, live very well, right?
With the growth of the Asian community also comes misunderstandings from all directions.
I walked into the mall and it was like walking into a different country, a different world, like Hong Kong. And it was such an alien, surreal experience for me because everyone there was Chinese, which wasn't unusual, but all the store names were in Chinese. I couldn't understand anything, couldn't read the directories, couldn't read labels on washrooms.
Usually most signs have Chinese or some sort of language and then English in smaller letters underneath. So it kind of puts you out there as a minority now, I guess.
I've gone to dim sum restaurant in Richmond quite a few times. Most of the customers were Chinese. Definitely geared, menus were in Chinese mostly. The English on them was just an afterthought.
well, they're not even advertising for me. And I was born here and raised here. So I don't look at it as discrimination. I look at it as an education, right? They don't want to advertise for me, then I won't shop there. Simple as that.
Chinese merchants, we want white people. We don't mind white people coming in. Well, the challenge then is, well, do you have signs that they can actually read so that they don't feel like they have actually gone to Hong Kong by mistake? That would help.
As the Asian population grows, everyone else starts to feel the effects of becoming a minority.
It makes me feel a little awkward when you walk into a store and people look at you like, why is she here? She doesn't have, like she's got light brown hair and, things like that. And you're like, okay, well, it just makes you feel slightly awkward and I guess unwanted.
My wife, for instance, will go with one of her friends, and if they're standing in this Asian shopping center, they stand out, but nobody really pays much attention to them. Or if you go to a restaurant.
The things probably that bother people the most is to go into a mall, an Asian mall or an Asian store, and their English is really bad and they're serving you and you can tell that they don't want to be serving you. I see a lot of Asian, especially restaurants, but stores as well, that cater to their own people. And that's what I said before. It's not inviting to me. Why would I want to go there? If they don't speak my language, and they're not good, and you don't feel welcome.
I have a lot of friends still in Richmond, non-Asian friends, that are amazed when you take them into, say, Yahan, or you go, wow. It's like taking them to Hong Kong. But it's because they've never ventured in there, let alone tried some of the cuisine, tried to go into the shops and talk with people. It's no wonder the Chinese shop people just, well, you're not Chinese, why don't I want to talk to you? Because you never come here. Why would I put the effort into putting out an English sign? So it works both ways.
Hardest thing for me, personally, is when you see Asian people who are talking their own language to their children. That just quirks me, gets me off, because they should be, as far as I'm concerned, they should be teaching their children English. Maybe the child knows English really well, but maybe the parent doesn't. I don't know the situation as it is. There seems to be a lack of picking up the traditions, I guess you'd say.
Both cultures are at a standstill.
I think it's the clash of cultures. This is all generalization. I'm not specifically saying that all Chinese people come here and don't want to learn the language and have a superior attitude, but the ones that do make us, or make the people here, feel like, well, if you're not going to adapt to our traditions, we're not going to adapt to your traditions. And that's where I see the biggest clash. So the people that don't want to get involved in Asian culture, and I think the Asian culture is a beautiful culture. I think people don't want to experience it because the Asian people don't want to experience the same.
The white community is as much, I think, at fault in this. As much as they say, well, they should integrate, they should integrate into my white society so that I feel comfortable. No, have you gone here? But both sides are not necessarily welcoming. They're both yelling at each other, saying, you should be like us. Well, the Chinese community at large doesn't really care. It's like, well, who cares? We got lots of Chinese people here.
What can we do about the future?
Just go and find out what you can about other people instead of being so stuck in what you are. The very same things that they are pointing their fingers at, if they really looked at it, they'd understand that there's a lot of that in the way they live. The country is better because of the fact that everybody is allowed to maintain customs, cultural imperatives, and so on, and respected and allowed to live together.
Richmond, once a Caucasian-dominated city, has been enriched by Asian cultures. With an increase in Asian population, there has been a growing anxiety as ethnic communities fight to maintain their cultural integrity. Greater acceptance and accommodation of other cultures are encouraged as we strive for better understanding and appreciation beyond mere coexistence.